This engagement strategy looks a lot like assessment, retrieval practice, but to start out with, this is not assessment. When we do retrieval practice, we do not take grades. It's based on some research done by a group of scientists who wanted to see if quizzes were effective, non-graded quizzes. So what they did in a social studies class is the teacher taught her content, and then she would leave the room, and the researchers would give quizzes where the kids had to pull out of their brains. They couldn't use notes or anything. They had to retrieve it with no support. Specific information that she taught. The teacher had no idea what information they were asking, and then she would come back in and continue to teach. When she did give the assessment in this research, they found that the students performed one grade higher than they had on any other test that year. And the things that the researchers quizzed them on over the days of teaching were the questions that they did the best on. So using this kind of research, there's lots of ways to have kids do some retrieval practice. And once again, the definition of retrieval is to pull the information out of their brains, not using notes, not using a text, not using anything. It's what is it in your brain? And this great graphic done by Jennifer Gonzalez of Cult of Pedagogy gives us a really good review of it. It says, retrieval practices, we teach something once, we want to do more to help the students learn it better. Instead of reviewing it, we're better off giving something like a quiz. And once again, a non-graded quiz. If we do more asking the students to pull concepts out of their brain rather than continually trying to put concepts in their brain, they actually learn better according to this research. Once again, it's not an assessment, it is a learning strategy. So how can we do retrieval practice? Well, in Think, Pair, Share, we can stop and say, write down something that you know from the learning today, and then they get into partners and they share that thing that they wrote. Very simple to do, no planning whatsoever. You can teach and give a low stake quiz, like, okay, now that we've learned this, let's see how well you know it by retrieving what you heard. This also gives them a purpose and a reason to be engaged, and then they will be quizzed with no grade, just feedback. And we take a look at this here. You'll tell the students whether or not they were right or wrong on the answers on the quiz. Brain dumps are my favorite. I know lots of teachers don't like the term brain dump because of what kids will do with it. But a brain dump is a very easy thing to do. You teach in the class, you teach the class, you teach the content, and at the end of the class, you give them a sheet of paper and you say, put everything down that on this paper that you learned today. Once again, making sure that you give them feedback on whether or not they retrieved the right information. Brain dumps can happen in the beginning of class as well. Like, remember yesterday I taught you this thing, write down everything you think you know about this thing. Another thing that Jennifer Gonzalez suggests, or actually a couple of things, is space this practice out. You could do think, pair, share 3 times in the class. Like, I'm going to teach a little bit and then do a think, pair, share. I'm going to teach a little bit more and then do a think, pair, share. And then at the end of class, I'm going to do a brain dump. So making sure that you space out this kind of retrieval practice is a good suggestion. And then the other thing that she says is to match your practice to your assessment. So if you're going to be asking open-ended questions, then your retrieval practice should be using open-ended questions. If you're just going to ask for basic recall of facts, then that's the thing you should be asking them to retrieve. Once again, a really very simple, no prep engagement strategy that is research based and we know will work to keep the kids engaged. If you want to see this done in a classroom, please feel free to email me at lfisher@gfsd.org.